Welcome to the Advanced Tool Health and Life Coach Certification. Today we're going to be discussing mind optimization coaching modules, more importantly about harnessing the emotional regulation for cognitive clarity. Introduction. The ability to think clearly and make effective decisions is often hindered not by lack of information or skill, but by the mind's emotional turbulence. Emotional regulation is the capacity to recognize, manage, and adapt emotional responses to play a vital role in achieving cognitive clarity. For life and health coaches, mastering this skill is not just about maintaining balance in their own lives, but equipping clients with tools to enhance emotional intelligence and decision making under pressure. Key points 1. Understanding emotional regulation and its cognitive role. Defining emotional regulation. Emotional regulation involves monitoring, evaluating, and modulating emotional states to meet the demands of a situation effectively. It is not about suppressing emotions but managing them wisely. The connection to cognitive clarity. Mental clutter. When unmanaged emotions dominate, they overwhelm the cognitive resources needed for decision making. For example, anxiety may lead to overthinking, while frustration leads to tunnel vision. Cognitive cause for poor regulation. Impaired attention span, inability to prioritize, and reduced problem solving capacity. Benefits of regulation: improved focus, adaptability, and objectivity when processing information. Example of emotion regulation's impact. Consider a client preparing for a job interview. Without regulation, pre interview nerves may spiral into self doubt and poor performance. Teaching emotional regulation can help them reframe anxiety to excitement, enabling them to channel nervous energy into confidence. Practical coaches insight. Helping the clients harness emotional regulation enables them to enter high pressure situations without being ruled by reactive emotional states. Teach them to detach from emotional interference and tap into their intellectual resources. 2. The pillars of emotional intelligence. Recognizing the key dimensions, which are self awareness, which understands one's emotions and their effects on thoughts and actions. Example: recognizing when irritability is influential about how the feedback is communicated. Self regulation, ability to control impulsive behaviors and manage emotions constructively, like choosing to delay an emotionally charged email response until calmer. Empathy, which is understanding and sharing the feelings of others, which is crucial for interpersonal clarity. Practical tip is to use mirroring techniques during conversations to validate the client's emotions. Social skills, building positive relationships and managing conflicts effectively by regulating emotional responses, like de escalating tension by remaining calm and reframing a disagreement. Why emotional intelligence matters is that leaders with high emotional intelligence outperform others because they process emotions deliberately. This skill is at the heart of reducing mental chaos to focus on core priorities. Coaches' role: coaches foster emotional intelligence in clients by encouraging reflective practices like journaling, deep listening, and emotional articulation. 3. Advanced tools for emotional regulation. Tool 1 is affect labeling. The process of naming your emotions to reduce the intensity is what it is. Neuroscience shows that identifying and labeling emotions lessens their activation in the amygdala, the brain's emotional center. Like transforming vague anxiety over a deadline by articulating it as I feel worried because I think I won't meet expectations. Applications. Coaches can guide the clients to pause during stressful situations and verbalize their emotions instead of suppressing them. This offers clarity and reduces reactivity. Tool 2 is emotion specific breathing exercise. Different emotions alter physiological states. Regulated breathing calibrates them back to baseline. For anxiety, use 4-7-8 breathing to calm restlessness. For anger, extended exhale to activate the parasympathetic nervous system. For sadness, integrate diaphragmatic breathing to increase energy and reduce lethargy. Example for coaches: creating custom breathing routines for clients based on their predominant stress response. Tool 3 is self compassion training. It solves by harsh self criticism, which often emerges during high stress, amplifying the emotional burden. Principles: replace self judgment with kindness, view personal failures as part of the shared human experience, and practice mindfulness to avoid over identifying with negative thoughts. Coaching tip: encourage the clients to maintain a self compassion journal where they rewrite critical inner dialogues with supportive alternatives. 4. Applying emotion regulation in coaching practice. Developing plans. Coaches act as facilitators when implementing emotion regulation strategies with clients. Here are some examples. Identifying emotional triggers. Help the clients explore their common emotional triggers and situations where regulation breaks down. Personalized regulation strategy. Combine tools like affect labeling, breathing exercises, and self compassion into short adaptive routines. Scenario based training. Stimulate or simulate real life stress scenarios to rehearse regulation techniques. This bridges theory with practical compliance and competence. Tracking progress. Use journaling and weekly feedback to monitor improvements in emotional awareness, intensity, and clarity. Scaling regulation to complex interactions. For relational conflicts, guide the clients to regulate emotions before problem solving to de escalate tension. Here are some examples which you can see. Session structure. Coaching emotional regulation is iterative. Each week, introduce one regulation technique and adapt it to clients' needs, reviewing its effects in subsequent sessions. Best judge of the goals. Evaluating emotional regulation for cognitive clarity success. Measure the effectiveness of emotional regulation coaching requires focused, tangible evaluation criteria. They can be designed for coaches to track, improve, and celebrate progress over time. Here's a breakdown. 1. Enhanced emotional self awareness. Observation metric. Clients can consistently identify emotional triggers independently. Tools could be weekly reflection journals documenting your emotional realizations. 2. Improve cognitive clarity. Is the client making decisions with reduced mental clutter? And a test could be used by creating before and after scenarios to see clarity shifts post regulation tools. 3. Actionability during high stress. You can monitor the application of actionable techniques like affect labeling under stress. Indicator would be decisions will be reflecting the emotional detachment replaced by impulsivity. Progress in interpersonal interactions. Evaluation criteria could be that the clients report adaptable communication styles in high emotion contexts. Exercise is to capture multiple emotional intelligence modules. 5. Emotional recovery speed. You can see the growth by the frequency of elongated emotional spirals, which are drastically reduced. And a shift you can measure is comparing 4 to 6 week coaching logs of the client emotionally intensity cycles. Have a look at the breakdown recommendations below. Visualized cognitive ladder for unmanaged emotions to complete mastery. Bar graph slides for emotionally recovery speeds in tracked intervals. Scenario intervention slide, full comparison charts, and role of EI fundamentals illustrated. Highlight the practical severities solved regularly with matchmaking. Final thoughts. Regulating emotions isn't about numbing or erasing them, but about channeling them effectively. By fostering emotional intelligence and equipping clients with actionable regulation strategies like after labeling, emotion specific breathing, and self compassion training, you empower them to manage complex situations with greater ease and clarity. At its core, harnessing emotional regulation reshapes how the individual perceives themselves and their challenges, unlocking enhanced mental clarity and decision making. Through this knowledge, life and health coaches become pivotal guides in the client's journey towards resiliency and self mastery. Let's have a look at some summary tables. Take a moment to have a look at table number 1, which looks at the key components of emotional regulation. Let's look at emotional intelligence as one of the components. Definition is that understanding and managing emotions constructively is done by the person. Impact is that it improves relationships, decision making, and focus. Example, listening empathetically during conflicts, and some strategies are providing role play scenarios to enhance the skills. Table number 2 looks at advanced emotion regulation techniques. Let's have a look at one of the examples, which is emotion-specific breathing. The purpose is to recalibrate the physiological reactions caused by emotions. It works by tailoring your breathing to specific emotional states, and an example is by exhaling slowly to counteract anger. Outcomes is that it achieves balance and reduces impulsivity. Take a moment to have a look at the rest of the table. Table number 3 looks at the common emotional blocks and mitigation strategies. Let's have a look at overgeneralization as one of the emotional blocks. Description is that assuming one outcome applies universally. Impact on decision making is that it leads to limiting beliefs and avoidance. Mitigation techniques that you can teach reframing exercises to break the assumptions. Outcomes is that it creates possibilities and proactive behavior. Take a moment to have a look at the rest of the examples. Table number 4 looks at the applications of emotional regulation for decision clarity. Let's have a look at workplace tension as one of the situations. The client problem could be emotional reactions to team disagreements. Relevant techniques are self compassion training, and a process which is step by step could be reflecting compassionately before reacting. Expected client benefit is that it reduces the interpersonal conflicts at work. Take a moment to have a look at the rest of the table. Table number 5 looks at the emotional intelligence in practice. Let's have a look at one of the dimensions, which is self awareness. Key skill is recognizing triggers and reactions. Techniques for cultivation is journaling emotional experiences daily. Example, client logs feelings post day to see the trends, and improved emotional outcome is that there is an improvement of recognition of core patterns. Take a moment to have a look at the rest of the table. Now, let's go through some MCQs. Take a moment to have a look at question number 1 and 2 and try to answer without looking at the correct one. Take a moment to look at question number 3 and 4. And finally, number 5. Thank you.